Excuse me, could you point me in the direction of ScreamCity? Never mind, I think I found it.
Hello, horror freaks. Welcome back to ScreamCity. I'm your host, Jessica.
And I'm Monica. And guys, today, as you may have, or as you can hear, we're not on our regular schedule Tuesday. And that is because we have a special little treat for you guys. A special episode where we talk about an all-new film, Mean-Spirited.
Yes. And since this is going to be a bit of a shorter episode, I think it's pretty safe to skip the peek and pit for this episode.
100%.
Right?
We can definitely leave that for another one.
Yeah, for next week.
Yeah, but let's go ahead and get into this movie. So this movie was just recently released, I think last month or so. Like we mentioned in every episode, it is a newer movie, so we will be spoiling this movie. So don't say we didn't warn you. Now, if you want to go watch it, we'll list the different places and platforms for you to watch this movie later on in the episode. But basically, so when two estranged friends reconnect, the wannabe famous vlogger Andrew, is it Castellano?
Castellano?
Castellano sets off for a weekend at the mountain cottage of his former friend, now turned famous, actor Bryce. And Andy has decided to bury the hatchet, but he isn't quite himself anymore.
Yeah.
This movie was this movie was a movie. And
But to start off right away with this one, Monica, what was your first impression watching this film for the first time, and what would you say is your favorite scene and possession, because
there's not a lot of kills in this one.
Yeah.
So first impression, so this movie for sure is a wild ride. With it being a found footage film, I really do like it, but I will say it is different. I like the found footage part, but I will say I don't know if I'm 100% of a fan of the fact that it's supposed to be in the form of a vlog. So with all the like extra edits and the words splattered all over the screen and like the way like a vlog looks on YouTube is like in a movie, and I don't know how I like those two worlds combined yet. So I can't say I'm a full fan of that, but I mean, you never know. This could also be the new found footage type of like horror films that people can make now.
I don't doubt it for a second.
Especially for people who grew up with YouTube.
Yeah.
So, and especially like YouTube vlogs specifically, but maybe I just have to give it a little bit of a try. So it was just different. As far as like favorite scene, I like when Nikki's getting possessed, and she's walking around in like a white nightgown.
Yes.
She kind of looks really creepy at first, but then what I liked the most was like when everyone was around the campfire talking, and then you just see who is it? Is it Tom that's chasing her around in the background?
Yes.
And she's like running away from him.
Yeah. Right so by that toilet.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
As far as possession, I don't know. I will say I think I kind of like when Andy gets possessed, because we thought he was going to be the final girl.
Right.
But he wasn't. He ended up getting possessed, and I think that just kind of goes to show that not every horror film actually has a final girl or a final guy.
Yeah.
There's some people that end up all getting killed, and horror ends up defeating at the end.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those.
And slay.
As it should. Slay 100%. So I liked Andy's possession. I also liked it because it was a lot more cult-like. I mean, they all are, right? But this one was very, like, it was in that one, like, warehouse where they found the dead skeleton.
Yeah.
And so they're, like, while Tom was on the bed, and flashing lights everywhere, they were wearing their red robes, and it looked really eerie and pretty scary. So I liked the way that they possessed him. So it was pretty cool.
Nice.
What about you?
First impression, well, we watched it together.
We did watch it together, yeah.
I wasn't really sure what to expect. I didn't watch any trailer or anything. Just kind of went in pretty blind. But yeah, I wasn't sure where the vlog type of found footage thing was going.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned, I don't doubt for a second that we're definitely going to be seeing more of these type in the future.
The more that we get like the generation who's growing up now to make horror films later.
Yeah. So yeah, for overall first impression, I honestly thought it was very well. I think the acting was really good.
I thought the
I
acting
think it was
was
acting.
good.
I'm sorry. I think the acting was good for this film.
Yeah.
Especially, I have to give it to Andy's actor.
I think it was
Will Madden.
Will Madden.
Because he made me cringe.
He did make me cringe, and that's like something that I think we were talking about at the beginning. Like, he gives me, and it was so funny because we watched it with a group of friends too, and he is the type of vlogger that we stay away from on
like
YouTube.
Mr. Beast or
like
whatever.
Mr. Beast, and like, don't get us wrong, like, we know that he's really cool, like, and everything that he does, but I think it's just like everyone has their particular types of people that they watch on YouTube. I know I for sure don't like people going through my YouTube history because I'm like, I don't want you to judge on who I watch.
100%.
But
I don't need you seeing that the ASMR that I watch.
Exactly. But I do think that Andy is this like cringe vlogger that tries so hard to be famous, and you can kind of tell, and it feels really forced, and it's pretty funny. And it's only when he's like acting in front of the camera for it, because when you see him behind the scenes and like, or you know, in front of the camera when he's not trying to be famous, quote unquote, like he, you know, Will does a really good job of like acting for him. So shout out to him.
Favorite scene. Okay, I thought this was so funny, and I love these type of scenes. But when Tom is throwing the axe.
Oh my god, the axe scene.
And
Yes.
And it actually, like, no one realizes that the actual, like, what is it, like
the axe,
the knife part,
the
axe, I guess. Yeah, the axe actually hits Dew
in the back. Yeah,
like, it literally flung
yeah,
away.
like
it's so funny. But what I thought was super funny is just the reactions
that people were just like,
when Dew turns around, he faces the camera. You can see, I think Nikki or I don't know who else like is in the background, and they're just like, oh, it's so funny.
Like the immediate reaction of like, bitch.
Yes.
How did you not feel that? I mean, given he was already possessed at that time, so you know he can't really feel much.
Yeah.
But I think it was really funny to watch people's reactions, and that's like the type of humor that I think fits pretty well. I also thought it was really funny when they go into that little warehouse where they have like the ending cult scene, and they have the skeleton fall from the ceiling, and then Dew goes to feel its quote unquote pulse, and he's like, guys, he's dead.
It's I will say that the comedy in this
comedy in this is really funny. The parts that made me cringe were the parts that were very YouTube-esque and like vlogger. But for the most part, the comedy on this was pretty spot on.
My favorite possession was, I think it was Dew's. I think I'm gonna have to give it to Dew. Wasn't he was the first one too? Dew was the first. Yes,
I think Dew was the first one to get possessed, like, from them.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mainly because I think we saw it coming.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he's that type of character.
He's the type of character to be such an ass at the beginning that we're like, we know that he's the first one to go.
But I think what I liked most about Dewey's possession is that the following day when Andy eggs everyone.
Oh, yeah, and he eats it.
When he goes to egg Dew, he just like gobbles it down. I'm just
like no hesitation on like what it is or like any type of reason to react. I do think Dew's character brings a lot of like humor,
comedic relief,
and comedic relief 100%. And a part of me thinks that he's like that in real life.
Yep.
So I don't know if he is like that in real life or if he's just really good at portraying like this
a hillbilly kind of
hillbilly type of like.
I will say, I thought the mix of different characters.
Oh yes, we were talking about that
interesting.
Too. Everyone looks like they belong
at in
a different clique.
Aesthetic. Yeah.
Yes, like everyone belongs in a different type of clique, and it was really funny to see them all together.
Yes.
For the most part,
like Nikki. I feel like Nikki was
giving wannabe Kardashian,
girly girl. Yeah. Andy's the deadbeat. Andy's YouTuber.
The deadbeat like vlogger trying to make it famous.
Tom
he was giving slay to the girls.
Yes,
he was giving slay to the girls, but I can tell how great he was with the camera.
Yeah, yeah, great cameraman.
No, yeah, he was definitely giving slay to the girlies.
Joey,
which no hate.
Joey was giving like, I liked her character. She was very
like... Oh, Joey was like the type of burnout that you see with like, you know, cool maybe like alternative heavy metal rock playing in the background. Yeah. Like, I don't give a fuck about anyone.
I would probably be her.
Yeah.
And then Bryce, can I just say, Bryce was giving Draco Malfoy.
Draco Malfoy, 100%. If Draco Malfoy was at least 7 feet tall.
100%.
And it was so funny. We were watching it with our friend Penny, and she had a crush on him the entire time.
She did.
Everything that this man was doing, she was just like, did you see that? Yeah. He's so handsome.
Yeah. And like totally understood. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But he was, but yeah, like he was just giving, like, I don't know, his form of like acting was just like really well. Like I can definitely see him being something a little bit bigger and kind of being able to pull it off.
I see a lot of potential in
all of them.
Yeah.
But I think Bryce was giving what needed to be Gavin as a villain.
Okay. Yes.
He was giving what needed to be Gavin.
He would be a very good villain.
He would be a really good villain.
He already has... I mean,
Draco
I
Malfoy.
already, huh?
He was giving Draco Malfoy.
Exactly.
But I can definitely see him as being like a little, like I can see him being Draco Malfoy, but like in something a little more serious.
Yeah,
so that's
for
pretty
sure.
Cool.
Anyway.
Well, speaking of the cast, let's go ahead and just kind of
let's get a little bit into
mention everyone.
Yeah, the cast. So, we have Michelle Vientemilla. I think that's how
that's how I was kind of pronouncing it in my head, so I hope that's right.
But she's Nikki.
Yeah,
she's
Slay
played.
Girl.
Andy is played by Will Madden.
Yes.
Again, did great. Bryce is Jeff Ryan. Tom is played by Daniel Rashid. Joey is Maria. I can't speak today. Maria de Cotis. And then come on. Will Martin.
Will Martin is really funny.
I see a lot of, and I'm saying this in like a very good way. I'm seeing a lot of David Harbour potential.
Ooh, okay. Like type of roles for him? Yeah,
because
100%.
he has that humor.
He does.
And he kind of looks like him in a way. Was it me who said, I don't know if I said something, but I was like, why does he kind of look like David Harbour? Anyway, I thought he kind of resembled.
Like vibes.
He could play a young David Harbour.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe. Thoughts?
And prayers, girl.
Thoughts and prayers, girl.
But which is what this movie needs.
Honestly.
Because the amount of possession in this movie is crazy.
Very much.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean overall I think the movie is pretty funny. So a little bit of a backstory I guess we can kind of mention is so I believe the producers and the filmmakers of this movie reached out to us via TikTok. Because as you can imagine, we're kind of blowing up over there.
Yeah.
And we're really proud of all of our horror freak fandom that we have there and introducing you guys to, you know, a lot of different things. And so they had asked if we wanted to collab a little. And of course we said yes, because anything that has to do with horror and definitely filmmaking is up our alley. And not only that, but small businesses supporting small businesses. You know what I mean? Yes, of course. We definitely want you guys to know that there are so many different... I like that they also did a horror comedy. Yes. Which is so funny because I do remember saying, and I do strongly stand by it. I do think that horror comedy is something that can be... It can be messed up really easily, which is why I don't think that a lot of them mesh well. Right. Horror comedy is not my go-to. Really? Yeah, it's not. Okay. Because I think that if you try too hard, it comes out a little too much for me to be like, no. When I think of horror comedy, and obviously there's a shit ton more that but you are also biased that I want to think about. But when I think of horror comedy, I think of Shaun of the Dead. I think of Shaun of the Dead, and I also think of Zombieland. And those Zombieland. Two fit my humor way too well. Perfect. Yeah. Like, those are, like, my elite... Like, that's what I mean when I say when you do horror comedy really well. Like, that's what I imagine as horror comedy. And I think it fits so well. Yeah. And I think for what it's starting out to be, I think the potential is there, like, amazingly. And so I think... For sure. I also loved, like... I don't know what you guys used or I don't know what they used for like equipment, but quality and everything, like sound really and everything was there. So I liked it all. I also liked that it was found footage. Yes. I don't know how many horror comedies we get that is found footage. Right. And I will say, and I don't know, this is maybe just me reaching, but they are closer to our age. That's true. So I think that's why we're kind of relating and liking their humor a little bit more, because it's something that we can
kind of relate to. It's something that maybe, you know, we picked up from a different horror movie.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. I do think that, there were, I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some jokes in this film that I were kind of like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That didn't fit my type of humor. But I think for some of the jokes and some of the like outlandish stuff that they had on there also fit my humor. So I feel like it's a little versatile. So I think it was really great.
And I don't know if we mentioned this already, but Jeff Ryan, who plays Bryce, is the director and writer.
And writer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's really good I think it's good for what it is. And if it's something that's small, I'm not too familiar with everyone who is in this film. I'm not too familiar with, I will say, I think I looked it up. The man who plays Frank, which I have to be completely honest, I had to remember who he was. But Frank is the creepy man who is in the movie 13 Cameras. And I don't know if you've seen 13 Cameras, but 13 Cameras
I don't think I have, but yeah.
13 Cameras is a little triggering. But I think we can go ahead and move on to rating this movie. So this is a horror film. It is a horror comedy, so we will be using both of our scales, our scary scale and our satisfactory scale. Now, just because a movie is good doesn't always mean it's scary, and vice versa. So, Jess, what would you rate this movie?
Yeah, so for me personally, I think scary, I would probably give it a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
I will say the part where Nikki gets possessed and she's creepy, and she screamed out of nowhere. That scared me.
It was.
I'll be honest with y'all.
Now, don't get us wrong. There were some parts where we were like, ooh.
Yeah.
I do think that their costumes are pretty eerie too.
Yeah.
It was giving You're Next mixed with, like, I don't know, some cult. Mm-hmm. It was giving cult.
Yeah.
Which I think was the point.
Right.
So good.
Yeah. So yeah, I think scary scale for me, a 4 out of 10. Again, it's a horror comedy, so not everything's gonna be super horror-y. Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall, I don't think it's too bad of a grade for scary for horror comedy.
Right.
Satisfactory overall. I thought it was a pretty fun watch. We had a fun time watching it.
For sure.
So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Nothing too crazy. Again, totally understand that, you know, they're on the come up.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8 out of 10 for me.
For this being like the first project that we see from them, like, all together, I think they did well.
For sure.
Yeah, I think the same for me. My scary scale is more of like a 3 or 4. I wasn't, you know, shaking in my boots.
Right.
Type of horror, which is fine. It's a horror comedy. And to be fair, a lot of the horror comedies, the comedic relief is what helps relieve you from feeling the horror part. Yeah. So I wasn't, you know, too scared or anything. But the elements of horror were there, like eeriness, background musics, and very cult-like. Cult-like is always unsettling. And then as far as satisfactory scale, mine's more of like a 6 out of a 10. And there's no hate in that whatsoever. It's just I'm extremely picky with my horror comedies specifically. Not saying that just because it didn't meet my complete, like, above and beyond standards of what a horror comedy is to me doesn't mean that it's not a good movie. But it's an overall entertaining watch. It's really nice. And just so that you guys are aware, they do have this movie streaming on different platforms. So it is for rent on Apple TV, Vudu, Amazon, Comcast On Demand, and also Verizon. So I think their platform on where you can watch this movie is pretty versatile too. So if you ever get a chance, just, you know, go ahead, take some time, rent it, and watch it, and then go ahead and let them know too what you think of it, because I'm sure they would 100% appreciate it.
And let them know that ScreamCity.
Let them know that ScreamCity sent you.
And
yes. that we're the ones that definitely influenced you to watch this movie.
Yeah.
It's an overall really entertaining watch, and it's a good one. I think it's definitely the modern day horror comedy that I'm pretty sure this, like, early generation that we have now is going to, like, eat it up.
Yep, 100%.
And that's kind of the point, right?
I will say I got in a way, I don't think this is the first film, because when I think of vlogging and horror, I think of Spree.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, they did.
Absolutely.
But that was more like live. Oh, no, I see what you mean, because he was kind of like vlogging.
Yeah.
But
he was trying to get
but I
them
can
views
see
up.
that there's going to be like it's going to be part of the genre
100%.
of like all of that.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to see.
Very exciting.
And I'm excited for them. It was a good one. It was a good one to watch. So if you guys have a chance, definitely go take a listen.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're getting close to the end. Thanks again to everyone listening. We just wanted to give you guys a small piece to introduce this movie and hope you guys give it a chance. It's definitely one to see for yourself.
Yes, 100%.
And thanks again to FirstNamesFilms and for the mean-spirited kind of team
and crew for
giving us this opportunity and for kind of working with us.
Mm-hmm.
We hope to kind of work together again in the future.
Yeah, and then maybe, I don't know exactly where, I don't know where you guys all are, but maybe we can have a time where we can actually have you guys on the podcast and you can kind of give us your actual thoughts and ideas on how this movie came about. I think that would also be something that, you know, our horror freaks would love to hear. Yeah. We all know that we love hearing the behind the scenes stuff. So I think it's even better to hear it from like smaller indie type of like filmmakers. So well, thank you so much for listening and tuning in. We can't stress enough how much we appreciate your guys' support, and doing this special just feels so great because it just feels like we're expanding the horror freak community, and it feels honestly amazing.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, spring break is next week.
Yeah.
So, you know.
No better time.
Here's a fun little extra episode for you guys in case y'all, by any chance, find yourself bored during spring break.
Definitely take a chance and then go and visit them on all social platforms and give them some love.
Yeah. And we'll also link those in the description of our summary.
Yeah.
But again, I think this concludes our episode. Thanks again for listening. We've been your hosts, Jessica
and Monica.
Stay safe
and stay
spooky.
Oof, that was scary. I can't wait to come back next week.